everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the AFV factory. I hope everyone's well. So I thought it was about time we had a little catch up on a few things. And take a look at the low and see where I've got to that. We had our club's model show yesterday, annual model show. So I managed to get a few bits, or I was treated to a few bits by my lovely missus. So that was very nice. And also I've been using that Gaahleri Mobius airbrush now for a few weeks, and I've done a bit of spraying through it, so I thought I'd also give you an update on that and how I feel about it against other airbrushes that I've used before. So I'll spin the screen round and we can have a look at the bench. Cheers. So yeah, tank first. I've got a nice Academy model. I've been interested in getting one of these for quite a fair time, along with a lot of other models as well. You know how it is. But I had a quick peek inside the box just to see what it was like, and yeah, it all looks pretty good. So I think this is it's either an M48 or it's an M60 hidden under all this extra armour that the Israelis added to it. I'm not entirely sure about the pronunciation either, but Magash or Magash 6B. So I know they do a slightly different version. So whether one is, again, like I say, a T6, M60, sorry, and this is an M48. I suppose I need to do a bit of investigating to find out that. And then just a few supplies, some nice Vallejo stuff, which I've used in the past. So that was a nice treat. Just ignore that noise, that was the postman. Yeah, so the show was awesome. I'll add a bit of video to the end of this just to show what it was like, what was going on, and we'll move this off the desk and have a look at the low. So there she is in her nice new coat of paint, looking a bit garish, but they always do when they're at this point. So as you can see, I've done a bit of highlighting on certain things. As you can well see, the hatches, the engine cover I've toned down, and then the other covers on top of that I've lightened up. Barrel is in well, it said it was Vallejo, a bit Panzer grey, but it looks a bit dark to me for that. So, but now that it's dried and set, I actually quite like it compared to the light grey that it was in originally. And obviously the turret is in a red primer. So yeah, it's got to the point now where it'll be sealing up time, and then start on some chipping. Tools have still got to be painted. I've got some cables that I've made that need some work doing to them. So the plan was that I was gonna have blocks of sort of concrete or stone along here, just to act as some additional armour that the tank crews have put on, similar to the track that's welded to the front of this. But I'm now wondering whether I want to do more track along here. I'm undecided at the moment, so I will ponder on that a bit before I get too much further. Same with the turret. I had sorted out some bins for either side of the turret, but now that I look at it, like in this stage, I sort of prefer it in this uncluttered turret. This has got such a nice shape to it. I think it'd actually be a shame to cover parts of that up, so that's going to stay as is. So yeah, and it's been a good kit. I've got to the point where I can I feel that I can give it a score. It's an older kit than I thought. I thought it was around about 2016, but it's actually 2012. I've got a feeling it might be their first foray into 135 armour, but I might be wrong there, but so it's actually, you know, it's a 12-year-old kit, and whereas you might get manufacturers, for instance, like Tamiya, a 12-year-old kit is still going to be, you know, a decent kit. You're going to get a good, going to be able to get a good result from building it. But this, compared to the newer stuff, you know, they've improved drastically, I think. So this kit went together really well. It was a nice kit to build, no stress, not, you know, quite a low parts count, no fiddly bits and pieces. The only sort of two downsides that I would sort of, if I was going to pick holes in it or give some negative input, is there's no texture on the hull, sort of a rolled steel texture, and the tracks are a bit of a nightmare. You know, they're supposed to be workable, and I know some people looking online, some people have achieved that, but I couldn't. So I had to, in the end, glue them all together in one go and also attach them to the wheels. So that, I'll get you a bit more, there you go, that whole lot will come off as one. But yeah, so now looking sort of forward at some other kits of theirs, I've got a couple in the my stash, one being the sort of an experimental Japanese Type 5 Horai 2, which is essentially looks like a Japanese Jagdtiger, and I've got a E100 Flak Panzer. And look, these are more modern kits of theirs, and you can tell the difference. You know, the steel has texture. They've changed the track so that they're more easier to put together. So it's nice to see that sort of progression, and obviously that it's nice to see that they're sort of making things, improving things, making things better. Not that this is a bad kit. I really enjoyed putting this together. It's something that I wanted to build for ages. It's such a sort of an interesting looking tank to me. Massive tracks, and if it wasn't for the Hitler's desires about getting the mouse, you know, we may very well have seen this on the battlefield during the sort of latter years of the Second World War, and you know, who knows, a couple maybe sat in museums, and where it was a much more, you know, usable tank, which again shows, you know, the Hitler's thinking about wanting a 150-ton tank rather than this, which would have been around 70 tons. And yeah, definitely still have the difficulties that they had with King Tigers and Jagdtigers, you know, with transmissions being under a lot of strain and engines not being powerful enough. But it would have been a formidable tank had it been out roaming the countryside. So yeah, so I'm my little lesson there over. I will be carrying on with more of this, so there's more to come. But the one other thing that I will let you know now, and I know this is gonna spin some people's heads, but I'm also doing this as a Africa Corps vehicle. The tank didn't exist, so I felt that I could also put it into a Second World War theatre that also didn't exist. So I decided that rather than losing in Africa and surrendering, the Africa Corps carried on and held the Suez Canal, and then moved down into Saudi Arabia to get at the oil fields that were there at the time. And so I have a, you know, I have an idea of this operating out in the maybe down in Saudi Arabia along the Suez Canal, keeping the pipeline safe and battling the Allies along there to make sure the oil flowed continually in the direction of Russia, not Russia, sorry, Germany. You know, it's all completely made up, but then again, this tank never existed beyond a blueprint. So yeah, that's the way I'm going with it. So what else do we need to go? Oh yeah, we'll have a look at the airbrush. So this is kind of a history of me and airbrushes, starting off here with what you would find on eBay for £20–25, Chinese made, and made to a price. To be honest, I started off with these brushes, and although I've had 3 or 4 of them in the course of a few years, they always worked to begin with. They always sprayed fine. They just sort of, the component quality isn't that great, and they started to fail, or I started to have more issues with them than I was actually getting spraying done. But I've always accepted that at the time I couldn't afford to buy a better brush, so it was almost a price I was willing to pay, knowing that eventually I'd be throwing it away and spending a similar amount again. So yeah, I got by on those for quite a few years. Following that, a couple of years back now, I would think I got a bit of money, and so I decided to buy myself, I'd sort of treat myself for a nicer airbrush. I had about £100 to spend, so I bought this Pash, if that's how you pronounce that, Talon, and immediately noticed the difference in comparison to the Chinese brushes, where components were much better quality. The whole thing just felt better made, better put together, and it works awesomely. I mean, there is an issue, an issues might be too strong a word. They are known for clogging up quite quickly, and that was something that I did find with it. Once I realised what was going on, and that it was a kind of a thing that they did, it was quite simple to work around it, really, making sure I kept it clean and flushed through sort of every cupful of paint that I put through it. It took not really even a minute to flush it through, make sure it was clean, and then go again with the spraying. So it was a small price to pay for a much better brush, and I was happy with that. And also, I wasn't really looking to replace it, and I'm still going to carry on using it, but I just happened to be contacted by Gaahleri and asking if I would be interested in trying one of their new brushes, which of course, as anyone would, I jumped at. I thought it was too good a opportunity to turn down, really. So I've been playing about with this, I don't know, about a month, maybe 6 weeks, something like that. Time sort of gets away from me. As you've seen from my posts, I've used it a lot on this, on the Löwe that I built, and it's a very nice brush. I mean, again, it's around about the same price as the Talon was. It is made in China, I'm fairly sure. It's not from another country. However, it's leaps and bounds ahead of a cheaper Chinese airbrush. You only have to pick it up and hold it to feel how much better it is, and also you can just tell how the trigger works, and if you pull it apart and start taking out the needles and bits and pieces, everything is much better. I'm always very careful about recommending stuff to people, because I know that maybe on my recommendation someone's going to go out and buy this airbrush again for around about £100, and you know, that I do not want to mislead people, and yeah, it's very important to me that, you know, people coming on to my page or onto Instagram or YouTube, you know, what I say is, you know, as close to being 100% true as I can get it. You know, the real test will be 6 months, a year down the road, and see how it's working, still working then, having done a lot more spraying. But I'm happy to say that it's at this point in the time it's been with me, it's been a good brush. It's works well. You know, I don't really know much more to say about it. You know, it's definitely miles ahead of something else cheaper that you would get from China. Is it better than the Talon? I'd have to say they were on a par. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with other brands of airbrush. I know there's lots out there, and a lot of them are a lot more money. So I can't tell you about how it, you know, how it bears up against some of the other manufacturers. But for me, I went for the 0.2mm needle. I did that because the Talon has got a bigger 3.3 needle, so I thought I could use them in conjunction with each other, and use the Talon for getting, you know, a lot of paint down as quickly as possible, and then using the Mobius as a detail brush, which is what it's designed for. They do it in a 0.3 and a 0.2, and I went for the 0.2 for that reason. So yeah, until we get further into it, you know, by the end of the year, I'll have a proper full idea of how good is this brush. But at the moment, I'm gonna say that it gets a thumbs up from me. Nothing really has shown itself to be an issue that you may come across later. You know, it still needs to be, you know, regularly cleaned. It behaves like any other airbrush does, but it does feel that it's got a degree of quality that is way and above something else that you would buy from China. So yeah, there you go. I can't really say much more about that now, but I will keep you posted as time goes by.